Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for the monthly employment data release media call. My name is Emily Hetherington, and I serve as Deputy Director of Communications and External Affairs for FloridaCommerce. Joining me is Jimmy Heckman, Bureau Chief for Workforce Statistics and Economic Research. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will be taking questions from credentialed media. To ask a question, please submit it through the Teams chat feature, since we will not be able to accept questions through a private chat. We will address as many questions as possible, but if your question is not covered, please email media@commerce.fl.gov and our teams will work to get you an answer. Today's presentation is focused on employment data for December 2024. If you have questions regarding other Florida Commerce topics, also use the media@commerce.fl.gov email to connect with our Communications and External Affairs team. I will now turn it over to Jimmy.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you everybody for joining us this morning. At 10 o'clock this morning, the Florida Department of Commerce released December 2024 labor statistics for the state of Florida, as well as its sub-state areas, including all metropolitan areas, counties, and large cities. These data were produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal-state cooperative agreement with FloridaCommerce. These data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling. Florida's unemployment rate and labor force are published under the Local Area Unemployment Statistics Program using information collected by the Current Population Survey. These statistics are based on a survey of households, and they capture information about individuals as opposed to jobs, and they're calculated by place of residence as opposed to place of work. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in December 2024 was 3.4%, unchanged from the previous month, and up 0.3 of a percentage point from December of last year. The national unemployment rate was 4.1%, down 0.1% from the previous month. Florida's unemployment rate is 0.7 of a percentage point lower than the national rate and has remained lower now for 50 consecutive months since November of 2020. Monroe County had the state's lowest unemployment rate at 1.9%, followed by Miami-Dade County at 2.5%, and Gulf, Nassau, Okaloosa, St. Johns, Seminole, and Wakulla counties all coming in at 2.8% each. In December of 2024, Citrus County had the highest unemployment rate at 4.8%, followed by Hamilton County at 4.6% and Highlands County at 4.5%. The unemployment rate of 3.4% in December of 2024 represented 377,000 jobless individuals out of a labor force of 11,008,000. Total employment, or the number of people with jobs, decreased by 7,000 or 0.1% from the prior month, while unemployment increased over 2,000 by 2,000 or 0.5% from the prior month. Florida's labor force of 11,008,000, which is composed of all currently employed workers, as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work, decreased by 6,000 or 0.1% from the prior month. This is the 9th consecutive month of declines in the statewide labor force, driven primarily by an increase in retirements over the age of 55. In this graphic here, we see the over-the-year percent change in Florida's labor force, shown in blue, compared to the United States, shown in green. As of December 2024, Florida's labor force has declined by 0.5% over the year. The national labor force grew at a rate of 0.7% over the same time period. Job creation data for Florida is derived from the Current Employment Statistics, or CES survey, conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs as opposed to individuals, and they measure characteristics of employers such as industry and place of work. Total non-agricultural employment in Florida rose to 10,013,700 jobs in December 2024. This is up 18,000 jobs, or 0.2% from the prior month. This figure is up 147,900 jobs from 1 year ago, an over-the-year increase of 1.5%. The private sector component of employment was 8,851,300 jobs in December 2024, up 17,900 jobs, or 0.2% from the prior month. Total private employment was up 122,800 jobs from December 2023, an over-the-year increase of 1.4%. This was faster than the national private sector job growth rate of 1.3% over the same time period. Florida's over-the-year private sector job growth rate has exceeded the nation's for 44 of the last 45 months since April of 2021. Eight out of the 10 industry supersectors in Florida gained jobs over the month. Trade, transportation, and utilities gained the most jobs, increasing by 4,400 or 0.2%, followed by professional business services, increasing by 3,900 jobs or 0.2%, and leisure and hospitality increasing by 3,100 jobs, also 0.2%. 2 out of the 10 industry supersectors in Florida lost jobs over the month. Manufacturing lost the most jobs, declining by 900 or 0.2%, and education and health services declining by 400 jobs or less than 0.1%. Here we see the over-the-year change in employment by industry supersector between December 2023 and December 2024, in Florida shown in blue compared to the United States shown in green. The fastest growing Florida industries over the past year were other services, growing by 4.9%, followed by construction at 4.5%, and leisure and hospitality at 2.3%. 6 major sectors outpaced national trends over the last 12 months. The top 3 sectors where Florida outperformed national growth the most were other services, construction, and information. The map here shows the seasonally adjusted over the month job growth by local metro area in December of 2024. In December, 15 of the 24 metro areas gained jobs over the month. The Tampa area gained the most jobs in December 2024, followed by the Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Deerfield Beach metro area gaining 3,100 jobs, and the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area gaining 2,900 jobs. 5 Florida metro areas lost jobs in December. The areas that lost the most jobs were the Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island area, and Tallahassee metro areas, losing 200 jobs each, followed by the Deltona, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Panama City, and Pensacola, Ferry Pass Branch metro areas, losing 100 jobs each. On December 20th, 2024, the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis released initial estimates of gross domestic product by state for the third quarter of 2024. The graphic here compares real GDP growth in Florida, shown in blue, and the United States, shown in green. Florida's inflation-adjusted or real GDP grew at an annualized rate of 3.3% in the third quarter of 2024, faster than the national rate of 3.1%. Florida's real GDP growth ranked 21st among all states in the third quarter. This marks 10 consecutive quarters that Florida has seen positive real GDP growth, dating back to the second quarter of 2022, and 5 consecutive quarters that Florida has grown faster than the national rate. The Florida industries that contributed to GDP growth the most in the third quarter were retail, trade, information, and construction. On the slide shown here are the most recent job openings and labor turnover survey data for Florida. Please note that this slide reflects information for November of 2024, which is the latest data available. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that the number of job openings, shown here in blue, increased to 532,000 in November of 2024, an over-the-month increase of 38,000, or 7.7%, and down 1.7% from 1 year before. There were 253,000 quits, shown here in gray, in November of 2024, an over-the-month increase of 29,000, or 12.9%, and down 10.6% from 1 year ago. And there were 343,000 hires, shown here in green, in November of 2024, an over-the-month increase of 20,000, or 6.2%, and down 15.7% from 1 year ago. This concludes the prepared presentation. I'll be happy to field any questions from credentialed media.
All right, our first question is from Tom Urban. How important is it for the state to gain nearly 150,000 jobs over the year? What leads Florida to continue outpacing the nation on job growth?
Morning, Tom. Thank you for that question. That's always a really good question. That 150,000 job mark, that is a really healthy and positive number for Florida that did outpace the nation over the past year, over the same time frame. Again, what really we're attributing a lot of that growth to is a couple of things. One, Florida is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. With population growth come, there's lots of economic opportunities in the form of more demand for goods and services provided by Floridians and Florida businesses. And Florida's also seen the most new business formations over the past year, and really since 2019 of any state in the nation. And so those opportunities, those opportunities for new businesses to open up, to create jobs for Florida and Florida job seekers really creates that environment for strong job growth in the state.
And then we have a question from Jim Turner. Why the continued decline in manufacturing jobs over the past year? Are we still looking at retirements as a primary cause of the labor force shedding?
Hi, Jim, and thank you for that question too. Those are two really good questions, and they're actually kind of related. So, yes, we have been tracking and noting that decline in manufacturing jobs over the past year. And there's a couple of reasons that we think we can attribute to that. One is actually that the manufacturing labor force does skew a little bit older than the rest of Florida's labor force in other industries. So we do think that it's possible that some of the surge in retirements that we're seeing is probably disproportionately impacting that manufacturing sector and the manufacturing labor force there. Now, we have noted a couple other things lately in other venues that the number of manufacturing employers has actually continued to increase. We still see year-over-year increases in the number of firms that are engaging in manufacturing activities, and that at the same time, manufacturing GDP has also increased over the past year. We're seeing an environment where manufacturing employers have on average have fewer employees than they used to, but they're still able to maintain that production either by through efficiency gains or just really high productivity products that are being produced here in the city. And as for the question about the labor force and how it's shrunk over the last 9 months, yes, we still do. We're still seeing very rapid increases in the number of retirements statewide in the household survey that we use to produce those labor force numbers, and that is still what we attribute that labor force decline to this month.
Thanks, Jimmy. Again, thank you so much for joining us today for the December 2024 rate release. If you have any additional questions, please email media@commerce.fl.gov. We look forward to having you for our next rate release for January 2025 on Monday, March 17th, 2025. Thank you and have a good weekend.